Hey there. So, my microphone's not hooked up. Hopefully, this just works. I'm about to go to bed because I'm really, really exhausted, but I just thought about sharing and spitting some things out and maybe just, expressing a little bit. And I think the major reason why I want to do this is because I've just, been around people that I love and care about, don't get me wrong, but, they don't get me, you know? And when you spend time only with people who don't get you or just don't care to, I don't know, it just starts to feel like, when am I going to get to say a thing? I guess it's like frustration, in a way. But it is what it is. It is my choice to spend time with my family. And they don't get me. I don't know. It's like my skills and my talents are wasted on them. It's hard. And I don't think it should be hard. So I feel like I've been spending this time with them so that I can get reminded that I have a little bit more work to do. Maybe not a little bit, but I have more work to do. And the work is that it's on my self-esteem. It's definitely on my self-esteem because I shouldn't want something from them, But I know that this is a wound specifically around childhood, with the relationship with my mother. And I believe I'm being shown it by, spending a lot of time with her and other family members. And then just so for instance, my intuition, 2 days in a row, my intuition was guiding me. But my mother was involved in the situation and I let her override what would have been my own intuitive prompt to myself. And then things did not go well. And so in retrospect, it was like, oh yeah, my intuition was trying to tell me this. I should have listened to my intuition, not her. But she's my mother and she just put me in these positions. And it's just like in childhood where I was put into no-win situations. It's either offend her or abandon myself. Offend her or abandon myself. And it's like offending her has a lot of other consequences too, And abandoning myself means I'm going to live out the consequences of not following the guidance that I have that could have spared me. And I'd rather listen to myself, I'd rather have the consequences of whatever happens when I make a decision that my mother disagrees with. I'd rather have that consequence than abandoning my own intuitive knowing. So that's what I've been reminded of. But just being in that situation has been a little bit ugh. I just want to be around people who know that they have their own intuition and they follow it, and they know I have my own intuition and I follow it, and they don't have expectations of me to not follow it, to follow them, to be controlled by them, to be put in no-win situations by them, to depend on them. I just so want to be in relationships with people who are respectful, And I think my mom is just programmed by the ancestry that I'm from, and it's still in there. And it's what I've been working so hard to recover from myself. And it takes work, and it's like a full-time job. And I don't know, you can't force people to want to do it, right? Like, but if she did it, then I wouldn't have someone to reflect it back to me so that I could clean it up in myself. So it is part of the divine orchestration. And I'm just kind of, I don't know, like getting this little bit of frustration out over I guess if I generalize it more, I could just say my frustration is over loving difficult people. It's not difficult to love them, but each of these people that I'm thinking of, are very difficult people. And I mean difficult because they're like antisocial, because they're not win-win-win people. They're sort of like wounded in a way that makes them look out for themselves first or be fearful and make decisions based on that. And it's like, that's all the stuff I'm trying to get away from. It's all the stuff that I've worked so hard to not live by. And so I'm constantly in that situation where it's like you can either tiptoe on their eggshells to not disrupt their comfort zone with the truth of that I'm trying to live, or what? Like I follow my own knowings and intuition, and they, I guess, reject me. And I just gotten to the point where it's like, reject me then. I mean, I just can't. I just can't. I can't keep abandoning my own self to make sure that I don't disrupt your little apple cart here with just the truth. I want to live my truth. And I think there is a possibility for them to live their truth and me to live my truth. So it's a matter of me, filling in those places within myself that still want it to be different, that still wish that I had that connection that I would have liked to have with my mother, wish that I didn't get put in no-win situations constantly with my mother. It's like, yeah, it's difficult to be like seeing the patterns, knowing that they're dysfunctional, knowing that they can cause harm to people, knowing that they perpetuate the dysfunction, and then knowing that I can't do a goddamn thing about it if I want these people in my life. Yeah. I feel a little bit bad about saying goddamn. Sorry, God. Yes, so I'm working on those self-esteem issues that have put me in the position to feel bad when I'm surrounded by people who feel bad. But they all spiritual teachers talk about this and know that if you hang around with people who are negative and suffering, that you're going to suffer too. And what can I say? It's fucking true. It's true. You're either on the cleanup crew, or you're watching them suffer, or they're bringing you down, and I haven't had the experience of being brought down necessarily, but watching people suffer isn't fun, and being on the cleanup crew can be a full-time job in itself, and I don't want that job, So I'm having to detach more from that, but also take with it the lessons and the things that it points to within me. It's like, first of all, what is my need to be so connected to difficult people? And it does have to do with they actually do need my help. So I can't abandon them. I can't abandon my loved ones. I just can't. But I'm going to have to figure out a way to not abandon them and to also not abandon me and my truth and what I know. And that's tricky. It's really tricky. Whew, really tricky. I don't have that figured out yet. But I know that it is rooted in my own self-esteem because, like, they shouldn't be able to pull me to a place where I'm even feeling bad for their suffering. You know, that needs to be replaced with compassion. And that's a reflection of me feeling bad for my suffering. And my suffering is that I'm having to deal with them. And they're difficult. So that's what the reflection is. The reflection is that I'm telling myself the story that I have to deal with difficult people instead of telling myself the story which is the truth, which is that I'm choosing to do that. You know, I'm not have to do that. I'm choosing to do that. So that's a different story, right? Like, okay, and now I have to look at, like, and why am I choosing that? If it's not to make myself feel better or to feel superior to them, then what is it, you know? And I do think that of all the things that it is, that's the most pure part of it. It's that it's simply because I love them and they do need help, you know? It's like if you see a hurt something, you know, child, animal, bird, you know, you caretake it, you nurture it, you make sure it has what it needs to survive. So I feel like that's what I've been doing. And so I don't believe that it's rooted in anything where I'm trying to make myself feel better or be important anymore. And it definitely used to be all those things. But the part that is bothering me is that that feeling of I have to do this, right? And you know what? I think that might be rooted in a time where I did have to do it, because as a child, I had no choice. I couldn't just say, "Oh, this family sucks. Let's slide me into that family over there because they're not as difficult." No, I had to deal with difficult people growing up. I had to. So I've still been telling that story of I have to do this when actually it's a choice now. I would still choose to do it, but why am I not telling myself that it is a choice? Because it is a choice. So there's this part of me that's still, like, wounded by having that experience of growing up in pretty much, like, neglect, emotional neglect, but it was due to the difficult people, you know, who were my caretakers and who were in my life. It was difficult to be in no-win situations and to not be considered and to be utilized as a slave, a babysitter, and a chore doer. I mean, it really was. So I guess that part of me really wants some love and attention and acceptance, because she's still telling that story of I had to, and I had to do it to survive. Oof. See, and you can see the mirror of it, right? Because I'm helping people because they have to survive. And they literally do. They literally are a perfect mirror for this thing in me. They're in my family, right? So they're repeating the cycle. And I'm being asked by my own self to break this cycle, and recognizing it is the first step. So I'm acknowledging that I've still been telling the story of needing to survive difficult people, having to put up with difficult people. And it's a valid story because it is true. That in my past as a child, I did not have a choice, and I did have to endure, put up with, survive difficult people. I accept that here I am, almost 50 years old, and I have to accept that I have been carrying this story and this wound for all this time, that I have to deal with difficult people. Like, there's a part of me that's so sad for the fact that the only reason I've been experiencing so many difficult people in my life is because I've been telling that story. You know, the realization, it feels a little bit almost shameful or humiliating in a way. I mean, I know that's probably just because I'm sharing it publicly on my channel, but that's, you know, it's what it is. I am a human. I'm allowed to be wrong. But really, it just feels like such a... I mean, so let's take it to that higher level, though. It's one of the human experiences that I came to have, and as a human who came to have that experience, I had the right to have it, and I had it for as long as I needed it. So I accept that here I am as an adult with that same story of being a kid who had to deal with difficult people, and who has been living that same story out to this day. Yeah. Oh my God. I just flashed to like relationships that I've been in, and it's like, yeah, I would choose to be in relationship with men who were difficult, specifically. Oh my God. It's so true. Like, part of me wants to laugh and part of me wants to cry. I specifically chose difficult men because of this story that I've been carrying and telling myself, which was accurate for my childhood, but certainly was a choice once I became an adult, had I realized it. Wow. Like, yeah, there's part of me that just wants to cry for that, because, like, oh my God, I've endured so much bullshit. Holy shit. I can't do anything but laugh about it, which is really good. Laughter is another way to move energy besides tears. It can be laughter. And honestly, I just look back at my choice of men, especially the ones to be in long-term relationships with. It was just men who I found difficult. It was, what do I need the challenge? What? And that right there is like at odds with what I was telling myself consciously, which was like about a fairy tale. So it's like I was at war even within what I desired in relationship. No wonder. Oh my goodness. It can really fuck your kids up when you're a dick. That's what I know. So anyways, it'll be nice to not have that story anymore. I accept that I do have it, and that I'm needing to work through it. Oh yeah, nausea's coming up from that energy, like me being present with it and just not resisting it anymore. Allowed it to just start to come up. And with it came nausea. Ooh. Alright, so be present with how it feels. Be present with how it feels to have to deal with difficult people. How does it feel to have to deal with difficult people? I'm kind of pissed. Frustrated. Like, kind of disgusted. Kind of like so perplexed, you know? Because, like, I look at life and I just see a nice little path that doesn't involve conflict. And I'm not saying that conflict is always a bad thing, but, you know, I've been on a path where conflict was the path. And I like that path, you know? But I can see, like, the principles that I need to live by and the standards that I need to have for myself in order to live a life and go forward on a path that doesn't take me down, like, to hell, you know? And to me, it seems so, like, why wouldn't we do that? Like, you know? Like, once you know that's possible, how are you not working towards it? How are you not doing it? How are you not conjuring up the bravery and the courage to do what you need to do that? Like, I don't get it. But also, people are allowed their experiences and their path, and it's not mine to say, right? So anyway, I feel frustrated, and I feel like even as a child, I just thought, holy shit, these people make it way more hard than it has to be. You know? I just think I feel like I feel like the people around me, and back then when I was a child and even now, I can see conflict coming a mile away. I know how to walk on eggshells, but I also know how to smooth people over. I know how to be balanced and equal and Libran and consider both people. I know what to do to not let that be the outcome. Yet, it's not that obvious to others, apparently. And even if it was obvious to them, you know, apparently they don't want to take that route. And I'm just so, like, yeah, even as a child, I think I felt just so, like, what? Like, confused by that, you know? Like, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. Why are you going to make your life harder? And this is me speaking from that wound, right? From that anger and that frustration and that charged feeling that I have stored up for it. The logical part of me understands that there is a time and place for challenge, and that sometimes people have to take the hard road to learn what they've got to learn. And I do know all that on a logical level, but right now I'm trying to focus in on that feeling. So I'm letting myself express those type of things, right? But I have a dual consciousness where I can see both things, right? Everything that's true, the opposite is also true. I can see that, you know, there is a time and place and reason for it, but I'm allowing this wounded part of me who made a decision that this was stupid and that people were being difficult and that they could have done better and that it's wrong and that, you know, that they're just being difficult and I'm frustrated with them. Like, I'm letting that part come out so I can kind of try to conjure up that feeling so I can be present with it. And it's this feeling of overwhelm and anger and, like, frustration, and, like, it's more those layers of what would have made me want to take control of a situation and make me think about other people as incompetent. Which, if you've watched my channel over the past year or two, these are kind of topics that keep coming up for me at different layers. Is this feeling of, like, I'll just handle it, I got this, and then, like, not feeling like other people are competent enough to do it. And it's stemming from this way that I grew up watching people, you know, act a fool, so to speak. And it was, and I think it definitely affected my self-esteem, because it put me on high alert for trying to have to manage my own self from outside myself, because it mattered what was going on outside me. Because even if I got happy for a minute, it was probably going to get ruined by some difficult person at any moment. They're going to either tell me to go do a chore, or they're going to be arguing, or they're going to be unfair, you know, like. someone's going to be unfair to someone, and it's not going to go well. Everyone's going to suffer for it. Ugh. Yeah, like these feelings are like overwhelm and frustration and like, yeah, the part of me that has experienced that, excuse me, doesn't feel in fear or victim. She feels like a boss. She feels like, fuck off, you guys. Like, just literally fuck off. Shut up, be quiet, sit down. You got nothing of value to add to this situation because you're just making it worse. You're digging yourself in, you're self-sabotaging. That's how she feels. And she was young when she started feeling this way. And I'm saying she, but I mean like this version of me that has been carrying this story. Yeah, I was very young. I knew. It's funny because I never got to this layer before. This is a deeper layer of me knowing myself as a child who actually was aware of what was going on around her instead of a child that was just too traumatized to make sense of anything. That's actually not the case because I was conscious enough to make this decision and make this conclusion about how I have to deal with difficult people. Yeah. And it was very frustrating. And I feel the frustration at them. Not for God putting me in this situation, but literally for them, because I can see them playing this out, and I can see what's rooted in it and where it's coming from and how it's like their hearts are blocked, they're not considering anybody else for themselves, they're being like selfish and self-centered, and that's mean and cruel. It's not, like, we're a community, like, of humans, and we should be considering each other and everything. I'm not saying that we can't have, time to ourselves and privacy and all that. I'm just saying, like, we shouldn't be doing things that harm others, that hurt others. We should consider others to the degree that we understand what would and would not harm someone else. And sometimes it's inevitable to harm somebody else but if you're following what's in the highest good of all, it's not going to happen near as often. And when it does happen, it'll probably be at the most divine time where that other person can utilize it for what it's worth, which is maybe finding their way out of a pattern within themselves. These are just my thoughts, about how it should be, but I also know that I don't get to say how it should be. But I understand this little bossy part of me that's like just so over the dysfunction. Yeah, so over the dysfunction. So, okay. So be present with those feelings. Yeah, it's like present with frustration. I'm just allowing myself to be present with the feeling as it's coming up. Talking about it like that allowed it to come up, and now it's important for me to allow that feeling to be here. And I'm just kind of like focusing in on it a bit so that it can get a little bit bigger and stronger, because sometimes you need that if it's really a suppressed thing. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm putting my focus on it and like letting myself feel what it felt like and what it feels like to be so frustrated by people who are just like sabotaging themselves and others. Yeah, there's sadness in here about it too. Like, I just heard myself say, why would you do that? Yeah, that's how it felt. Like, why would you do that? Like, that part of me is so confused by it. Like, Can't we all just get along? Interesting. Yeah, like I can see how this is really anchoring in something into me that prohibits me from kind of letting people live and not being affected by people who are having a difficult time or being difficult. It doesn't have to affect me. It's just that because I had this story, it did affect me. So I'm glad I took the time to talk about this, because now I can change that belief. You know, it's not true that I have to deal with difficult people. It's not true. I don't have to. And that opens me up to so many possibilities, including the possibility that I redefine what difficult means, and I redefine what is difficult to me or not, you know? And also, like, allows me to get back to the place where I'm not taking things personal. Like, if this person is having a difficult time, it's my choice whether or not I help them, right? And I'm putting myself in the equation, always nowadays. So I'm never helping somebody to my own detriment, usually. In fact, what the examples that I had these last couple of days with my mother was not me helping my mother. It was other circumstances that put me in that situation to abandon my own intuition. So the possibility is that I am choosing to help people who may or may not be difficult, and may or may not continue to be difficult, and are definitely not being difficult to offend me. That I know, you know? And that's so much easier to feel and know and live out once I've cleared that wound from myself that I just realized. That was a good one. That was a good one. I'm so glad I got that. I'm so glad I talked my way into realizing that about myself. That was a really good one. All right. I feel better. I feel like lighter because I let go of that. And, you know, just as an example, I showed you my process and stuff, but like, it doesn't always go that quick. You know, that energy moved through me, but I had been feeling it a little bit earlier in the day. So it was easier for me to access once I like realized that that's what I needed to do. But sometimes you got to sit with something for longer than what I just did, you know, just saying. They don't all go the same way. It depends on a lot of factors, but yeah, interesting. Besides all that, I think something that's been helping my self-esteem is, you know, and maybe this even helped me get into a position to even be able to see that one in myself, right? Because you have to have a certain level of self-esteem to want to care about how you are being affected by other people. If you have very low self-esteem, then you may not even think about the fact that you're being affected by other people, unless you're telling us a story about I'm a victim, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to say blah, blah, blah to dismiss it, because if people are having that experience, it's valid for them to have, you know? But anyway, I say blah, blah, blah more like because I've spent enough time being a victim in my life that I never want to like actually, you know, embody that perspective again, because it just feels like a blah, blah, blah to me, you know? Just because of my own experience of doing it so many times in the past. And, you know, maybe yet to be revealed in the present. Who knows? I'm open. But one thing that helped me, I think, get to this point where I was able to look at this in myself is the fact that I've been building my self-esteem by working on my goals and having really good success with my project, which I'm really excited to eventually share that here. but I think it'll be a while. I don't think it's going to be here first that I present it. I've never had any luck presenting anything to this platform here. So probably gonna do some other route, I would think, and then maybe share. But I am like amazed that I created this thing that I've been working on. I'm so impressed with it and myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm still working on it, but I've just made so much progress and it's coming together so well that I feel really good about it. I feel really good about it. So, yeah. Also, another place I won't be rolling out my new project is with my family. Did I ever tell you about the time I assisted an instant energy healing witnessed by family members? They dismissed it and refused to talk about it ever again. That last statement was an exaggeration. Not that they'll never talk about it again, but they definitely don't want to talk about it in circles where people will think they're crazy. And so it was just moved on from like it was nothing. And that was crazy. That was crazy to experience. You know? I mean, the people that I love most in the world, that I care about most in the world, and they just like dismiss the fact that I've been discovering magic and then I just prove it to them and they're just like, eh. But it's really just the same thing I run into everywhere. The thing is that a lot of the knowledge that I'm sharing, it would have to shatter somebody's worldview. And people don't like their worldview shattered. If they're still living in it, they have some comfort zones in it, they don't want it shattered. So it's really difficult because I'm living in this society with this so-called mainstream, right? Like the majority of people living under this certain set of beliefs generally, even though there's a lot of contradiction within those too. But these things that I've dabbled in, experienced, know about, they're not generally accepted a lot of times. And I can forget that sometimes because I'll be like isolating and like working on my own stuff and totally fascinated and in it, and then like meet someone new and then just to get like realize, oh my god, like, oh yeah, you're very, very mainstream. You're very, very living in programs that do not allow you to consider the truths that I'm aware of, you know? Yeah, it's weird because sometimes it'll just be people who I really think will have an open mind. And then like they'll just come out with like they don't believe in that. And it's like, okay, like, and I just think to myself, not that I'm judging them or looking down on them or anything like that, but just like I definitely observe that this is a closed person, that they are cutting themselves off, whether it's for by design or because they're very stubborn. They're cutting themselves off from this whole other aspect of life. But there's probably topics that I'm doing that in as well. That other people will be like, why are you? You know what one of them is? Investing. I was thinking about this the other day because I have a lot of content creators that I follow who talk about investing and money strategies and things like that. And I was just thinking, like, why am I not like doing that? Why am I not like investing? It's obviously a tried and true way to accumulate some wealth. I mean, the major reason is probably because I don't know about it, but like, why am I just not learning? Like, the knowledge is there for me to pick up. It's like, why am I not doing that, right? So it may be the same thing, right? Someone who is very good at investing, and it's a very, obviously a beneficial thing to do here on Earth where we need money. Someone who's investing might look at me and be like, well, why would you not open yourself to that part of life? The same way I look at somebody else and go, why wouldn't you not open yourself to that part of life, with regard to spirituality? It's just what we're here to focus on is different for each person, apparently. And I think that's fine. And I think the little like snarkiness that comes from me comes from the fact that like I would actually love, I'm due for a conversation with somebody who does get it, So, and I think it's just, burnout from spending a lot of time working on realizing this wound or this beliefs that I've just changed in myself about having to deal with difficult people. Oh, that was such a good one. All right, I think I might just repeat myself a lot. Yeah, I'm really tired. That is all. I almost put my glasses back on like I was gonna go back to work, but no, it's 2 a.m. We're going to sleep now. Night night.